Hey everyone. Yeah, I wanted to come on here because I was planning to do this yesterday, but I got caught up doing the undecorating of the Christmas decorations, taking them down, putting them away for the next. I guess you could say. Uh, I guess what is it going to be now? 9.5 months, maybe 9.5 months. But I got caught up doing that, and then I did the other audio video, of course, that you saw earlier. And I just decided, you know what, I'll hold off on this, until I'm ready, and or at least until today, hold off on it. But I wanted to come on here because I know, look, I know people are gonna have their difference of opinions on this, but I think what people have to understand is, well, there's that old saying that nobody is perfect. And if you are a religious belief, of Christian, Catholic, whatever, then you all agree that we're not perfect until we're in heaven with the Lord. Um, but be that as it may, on this realm, nobody is perfect. Let's be honest, nobody is, and that includes presidents or prime ministers or queens or whatever they call themselves, depending on the country that they kind of see over, if you will. Nobody's perfect. Period. Nobody. No kings, no queens, no princes, nothing. No princesses, nothing. Nobody is perfect. And the same goes for our recently, I guess you could say, recently returned president in Donald Trump. Nobody's perfect. Joe Biden, let's be honest, he wasn't perfect because in the eyes of several folks, if not, I don't know how many, a lot of people feel that he just played a patsy. He let himself get manipulated. And that's their right to their opinion. And the same goes for even the president before him, which again was the current one now, Trump. And even before Trump, Barack Obama. And before Barack, George Bush, Jr., and so on. Nobody that's ever been in the Oval Office, no one that's ever looked over, kind of seen or saw, basically watched over the country, see over the country, as its leader, has been perfect, in their run or during their duration as leader. No one has, and most of the time it would have to do with some of the decisions and promises they, basically have, told people or said to people that they're going to try to accomplish. They're going to try to set forth and make a reality. And, give Biden credit as much as many people may not like to do so. Some will, but not many. He did promise that he was going to reverse everything that Trump had put into motion during his first term. He was going to reverse it, and he did. He did reverse it, even with a bit of help here and there. Let me get some coffee for a second. But yeah, he reversed all the decisions that Trump made. He did. And because of that, this country, depending on how you view it, everybody's got a different viewpoint, went through a very, I guess you could say, up and down to, what's the word I'm looking for? Turbulence like situation. It went up and down. People would say, oh, it was positive. Some would say it wasn't. Some would say positive. Some would say, oh, up and down. Mixed reaction, stuff like that. Some would say the same thing when Trump first was president back in 2016, 2017. People would say it was a kind of an up and down, tumultuous kind of run. But if you were to go out and ask people to compare, like, who probably had a better run, between over these past 8 years, they would say Trump maybe slightly had a better run than Biden. Now, I'm not saying that's my opinion, but again, you go out there, people would probably say that. The issue here is, like I said, not everybody is perfect in being leader. I mean, Biden, much to the chagrin and admittance of a lot of people that did back him, they were proven wrong that he was not the best person for the job. And they realized, okay, maybe we made a mistake, or okay, something's a little fishy here. Why is he starting to act a little senile, or not be so coherent what's going on. And that's when things start to dawn, like, oh, what everybody's been telling us and what we've been pretty much denying and trying to not believe is actually true. And, the rest, and basically the rest is history, because now we see what happened as a result. The Democratic Party basically realized, well, nationally, internationally, the cat's out of the bag. The jig is up. We got to do something. And what did they do? Give them credit. They tried to salvage what they could. But like I said before, and others have said before, what they did is they gave someone in Harris a broken campaign. They gave her a broken campaign. And what many people feel and believe is basically if they would have just admitted that, yeah, running against Trump's not going to be a good thing for Biden. Let's just tell Biden, hey, don't do it this year. Finish out your year. Let Harris be the one that takes over. But Biden, he had pride. He didn't want to be told, if he believed in himself, hey, I can still do this, that he couldn't. He couldn't. I mean, he had his own wife, under all the criticism she's gotten, telling him, you can do it. You're going to do a good job. It's like, can you blame the guy for wanting to move forward, continue on? I wouldn't. But again, he was put into a situation that when that debate happened with Trump in front of the world, pretty much, exposed the truth. It exposed the truth about what was really going on. And it also proved that, yeah, Biden wasn't perfect as a president. He wasn't perfect, and that most of the decisions he made, some people would now look at and say, were those really his decisions? Or were those decisions told to him by his wife, or by Pelosi, or by Harris, or, AOC, or whoever? Were those his decisions or their decisions? One can only wonder. And maybe someday we'll get the truth. And if not, that's fine too. But yeah, not everybody is perfect. And even in this first few days, this is why it's called the first 100 days. The first 100 days are a way to fully examine from your point of view as a American citizen or a country citizen, the first 100 days of the new president or prime minister or whatever the leader is called or dubbed in your country. The first 100 days is to see from your point of view whether or not they were the right choice, if you made the right decision, if they're going to live up to what they say they're going to do, whether some, agree with it or not. That's what this is. And for Trump, he's doing everything, whether you like it or not, whether you like it or not, whether you like the man or not, he's doing everything he said he was going to set out to do. He said he was going to, change, he was going to restore things back to the way they were. He said he was going to take care of this DEI stuff. He was going to ensure that ICE and the new border Cesar had full range to do what they had to do to keep this country safe. He basically has set out so far to do what he's planned to do. He's making sure that people have opportunities to have employment. People are saying that he got rid of this act, and other people are saying there was no such act. And if there was an act, you're talking about this act, which basically, he annulled because he wants everybody to have a right based on their merit, not based on their race or gender or whatever. And look, not everybody's going to agree with his decisions. And a lot of people, American citizen and government-wise, state government-wise, is going to fight against it because they feel that basically in their minds, Trump needs to, evolve. He needs to move with the times. And that's what this really is. It's about growing and evolving, and in their eyes, the best way to grow and evolve and move with the times is just accept things for what they are now. Let people be the way they are now. Let people's actions, that they commit, criminal actions, if you will, let those be decided in the U.S. courts. That's basically what this situation is. It's not about the fact that they don't think the guy's a good leader. They just want him, and that's just my opinion, they just want him like they would any past president or future president. They want them to grow. They want them to leave things alone and let the state governments handle it. basically don't intervene in something that, you shouldn't be intervening in. To them, he should be focusing on what, is beneficiary for the country as a whole, let's say financially or otherwise. And as far as the states go, if it's a state problem, it's a city problem, let them deal with it. But here's the thing. Trump is not going to do that. And let's not forget, we've had Democratic presidents and independent presidents. I think we've had an independent president or not. Correct me if I'm wrong. But we have had Democratic presidents like Bill Clinton, that basically saw the same way Trump did. He saw that if we don't do what we got to do to keep this country safe, it's going to go straight to heck. And despite the controversy he ended up in, guess what? He lived up to his word. He lived up to his word by trying to do the right thing. Drinking more coffee there. But he lived up to his word. But again, it goes back to what I said. No president, past, present, future, no world leader, period, is perfect. No one is. And they're going to make decisions not everybody's going to agree with. They're going to make decisions nobody's going to agree with. They're going to sign executive orders. They're going to, they're going to sign their name to bills that get passed, whether people like those bills or not, because they feel that's what's, going to benefit the country that they're overseeing probably the best. It's going to give that country, the best, outlook for the next several years or whatever the duration of their tenure in office is. And again, I know I'm being repetitive here when I say it. And again, people have to understand, not everybody's going to agree with these decisions and these executive orders and stuff getting signed off. Nobody is. But they have to realize that that because they're not going to agree with it, in their minds, the person that's running their country is not perfect. And there's no perfectness in anybody. There's no perfectness. I mean, I'll tell you this. Here's the thing. Who's to say, if we want to do a what if scenario here, who's to say Harris wouldn't have done something different? Who's to say Harris, she comes in, she promises she's going to do similar things and some different things and stuff, Who's to say Harris during her tenure wouldn't have had a change of heart and start doing and making decisions that the supporters of her in government and American citizen-wise would not agree with? Who's to say she wouldn't have done things they wouldn't have agreed with? No one. No one could say that. And the reason being is because they know she probably would have. They know she probably wouldn't stick to what she said she was going to do. And she might have to be, I wouldn't say forced, but basically she'd have to be told, hey, you got to do this to kind of keep your stature going positively with the people. And look, is Donald Trump going to be able to keep every promise he's making so far in the first few days back? Yeah, he has. But what about the future? What about the next several years? Is he going to be able to keep his promises? We don't know. We can't say whether or not he is. Can we say whether or not he's going to have a change of heart and make decisions and, announcements and stuff that the people that voted for him, didn't agree, are not for, that we don't agree with? Is there a possibility that could happen? Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely there's a possibility. And it's because he's not perfect. He's not perfect. And that's what people have to realize. That's what people have to realize. No one that becomes a leader of their country, for whatever tenure they're going to be there for, is perfect. No one is. End of discussion there. And yeah, are they going, and like I said, are they going to, put into law certain orders and stuff to get things done that they feel is going to make the country better for at least the time being? Yeah. Yeah, they're going to do it. There's no doubt about that. There's no getting around that. So what people have to understand is whether you like, Donald Trump or not, as the leader of this country right now, he's doing what he feels is best for the country. And you can agree with it or not. That's your decision. That's your opinion. And by making that decision and opinion, you're pretty much admitting that you don't think he's perfect. And that's fine. But you have to understand, sometimes you just gotta, as the old saying goes, wait it out. let it play out, see what happens. And you might, and in the end, you might, this has been my theory, you might in the end, kind of realize, look, I may not like the guy personally because he's never owned up for what he's been accused of, but you would probably admit that on the other hand, he's a good leader. He did what he said he was going to do to straighten out the country, and basically, outside of the personal reasonings, you don't like him. As an American citizen, that's all that truly matters to you, and that's a fact. Again, same with any country out there. England, United Kingdom, Mexico, Canada, Japan, Russia. Believe it or not, I can't believe I said that. Africa, Australia. You name it. Every leader that gets voted into office for however long their tenure is, they're not going to be perfect in a lot of people's eyes. But if they start making decisions that's going to benefit their citizens in their country, it's going to benefit them in the future, then hey, if you don't like the person personally because they don't own up to maybe what they've been accused of and all that, that's fine. But you would have to say, hey, I don't like them personally because they didn't own up to what, obviously I feel they're guilty of. But hey, as a leader, they got shit done. And that should be what matters. I mean, basically look at it this way. Put all the personal stuff that you feel about them, put that aside for at least, the tenure of their run as your leader. And when their tenure is done, then let that personal stuff, rear its ugly head again if it does, and then you could basically express how you truly feel about the person. Like you can come out and say, hey, I respect what they did for the country, but now this guy or gal is gonna get what they deserve because of what they did in the past or previously before they came into office. And I think that's probably in my opinion, just suggestion, that'd probably be the best way to view things. It's probably the best way to view things. I mean, look, I have family members that don't agree with Trump being in office, and that's a fact. But, hey, they have to admit that if he gets things done, if he gets shit done, that personally they don't have to like him, but as a president, they have to respect him and what he's done, and that's about it. That's about it. So again, I look at the fact that, if you don't like them personally, that's fine. But put that personal agenda to the side for at least the next couple of years, and just look at the person as the leader of your country and view him in that lens. I'm trying to find the right word to say. View them in that lens, and go from there. This is why every country, when they elect a new leader, president, prime minister, whatever, king, queen, whatever, when they put somebody in office, this is why every country goes through what's known as the first 100 days, because they want to see whether or not just as news media and, people in government, if you will, but also as American citizens, they want to see whether or not they made the right choice. And that basically is the key component. Because if you see more progress in the first 100 days, that's positive for your country, as a whole, then then again, whatever you personally feel about the person, you can maybe decide, hey, I don't like the person, but I'm not going to focus on that during their tenure. I'm going to focus on them getting this country better, and once their tenure is over, then I can refocus on not liking them personally. And again, I think that's the best kind of way to go. That's just my suggestion, though. But yeah, in the end, guys, nobody's going to be perfect as leaders, as world leader. Whether it's for here in the United States as a president or in Canada as a prime minister or whatever. Nobody's going to be perfect. And again, they are going to make decisions, executive orders, sign bills that have been passed in their parliaments or Congress or whatever, basically they're going to do all this. And not everybody's going to agree with it, but as long as maybe they see a positive outcome out of those decisions, that's all that can really matter. That's all that's really going to matter. But again, in the end, guys, no one as a world leader, president, prime minister, whatever, is perfect. And I think we just got to look at it that way. And as long as they do a decent job during their tenure, and they get the country they're running in, off in the right track, off in the right direction, that should all but be what matters. Period. And that's it. I mean, the same goes for governors. Here in the United States, and governors or whatever they're called, in different regions and sections, provinces of the of countries around the world. Not even they're perfect. Hell, our California governor is not perfect, to the point that right now, because of what's happened in Southern California, people want him out. They want him gone before he's got a chance to maybe run again, which I don't think he will come 2026. But like I said, that's just reality. He's not perfect. The governor of Michigan's not perfect. The governor of Kansas is not perfect. The governor of Arizona, Nevada, Washington, Oregon, nobody's perfect. And we just got to look at it that way. But as long as maybe they do what we would consider a decent job to get their state, if not the country, if the president or prime minister or whatever, off in the right direction, then that's all that really, really matters. And again, that's why anytime somebody gets elected, into that role of being leader of the country, that's why all these countries, through news media, social media, and the own citizenship point of view, look at what is known as the first 100 days, so that way, they can decide whether or not they made the right decision. And if they feel they've made the right decision based on the progress that's going on, then they should have accompanying idea that maybe, even though it might be a little rocky at times, the next several years of that leader's tenure is going to be decent. Like, it's going to have its rocky roads and its bumps, but it's going to be decent, if not progressive, going forward. Maybe not in the eyes of a lot of people, but, basically in a positive way. But let me know what your thoughts are, guys. I just wanted to come out here and talk about this, just get it off my chest, because you go on the news and you're hearing all this crap, and it's like, come on, let's be honest. At the end of the day, not everybody's going to agree with who gets voted in as the country's leader, because that leader is not perfect. And yes, they're going to make decisions not everybody's going to agree with, but basically that's what the first 100 days are known for, to basically give you an idea of whether or not you made the right choice or you didn't. And if it turns out that, hey, the right choice was made, then all you have to do is be like, look, I may not like the person personally, but if they can get this country back on track during their tenure, that's all that matters. And then when it's all said and done, that's when I can judge them as a person again, if that would be your choice. But let me know what your guys' thoughts are. And what I had to say here, do you agree with anything I said? And if you don't, that's fine. That's your opinion. But let me know what your thoughts are. Comment below, like the video, ring the bell for notification, subscribe to the channel. Also, check out the links in the description to find me at all your favorite audio and video podcast affiliates, like iTunes, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Radio Public, Audible, Pandora, wherever a podcast is at, whether it's a podcast like mine, Solomonsters, or whatever, or let's say Joe Rogan's, wherever a podcast is located at, you most definitely will find mine, as I mentioned, there at BW Rosas' Discussions. So again, Audible, iTunes, iHeartRadio, Radio Public, Pandora, Spotify, like I said, Audible, and so on, you will find me on there along with many others. Also, check me out at Odyssey.com at BW Rosas, Rumble.com at BW Rosas, also at VENMO.com at BW Rosas. Also, check me out at DeviantArt.com at BVW1979. Also, check me out, guys, at inkbunny.net at BW Rosas. Also, check out the Teespring store. Link is in the description. You can find merchandise there you can't find anywhere else. I'm going to try to rebuild it over time, hopefully without any issue. Also, guys, check me out at Twitter.com at BW Rosas. Check me out at BlueSky.com at BW Rosas. And I also try to get onto maybe True Social in the future, but if not, that's fine too. But guys, let me know what your thoughts are, again, like I said, on what I've had to say. Do you agree with what I've said or not? And if you don't, that's fine. But let me know. Love to hear your opinions in the comment section below. But again, remember, in the end, nobody is perfect, not even elected world leaders that run their countries. Just remember that.